My name is John Passfield, and the title of this reading will be L.M. Montgomery, Video 2, Chapter 1, Anne of Green Gables. Here is my novel, L.M. Montgomery, I Gave You Life, a novel by John Passfield, a picture of L.M. Montgomery, the actual person, the writer, the Canadian writer, about 1938. Now, in 1938, with another world war looming and her own personal problems threatening to overwhelm her, acclaimed Canadian author L.M. Montgomery begins to write what she has decided will be her final Anne novel. As she works on the new book, she recalls the days when Anne of Green Gables became a worldwide literary phenomenon and the dilemma that she faced at that time. Here's the dilemma: whether to write a series of novels in which Anne would perpetually remain the child that the world had come to know and love, or to allow Anne to grow into adulthood with all the agonizing torments of the one who had given her life, L.M. Montgomery. Now, we're talking about three different novels here. This is my novel, which I've already held up, L.M. Montgomery, I Gave You Life. Now, in that novel, in 1938, she is writing a new novel, this one, Anne of Ingleside, in which Anne is an older lady. But as she's working on this novel, her mind takes her back in memory to the days 33 years before, 1905, when she was writing Anne of Green Gables. Okay, so three novels. In my novel, Ellen Montgomery is a character. In my novel, she's writing two of her own novels. Now, in the past of chapter 1 of my novel, the main character, Ellen Montgomery, is writing her novel, Anne of Green Gables. In a previous video note, I suggested that the human mind could be compared to the layers in the rock face that geologists find so fascinating, and that humans think of topics which are many and varied. I also suggested simply looking up and down at the exposed layers of a rock face was a pretty simplistic exercise when compared with a contemplation of the complexity of the human mind. If the human mind could be exposed in the way that a rock face exposes layers of sediment, then I suppose we would have to expose every layer of thinking in the human mind, whole fields, whole territories of thinking, in order to appreciate the extent of all of the layers of thought and all of the thoughts within those layers in the human mind. In this video presentation, I will read the layer which is thinking of the past in chapters 1 of 16 chapters of thought, the layer in the mind of the main character which is thinking of the creation of the novel Anne of Green Gables. So let's go to chapter 1, page 3, and we're reading only the past. Now, it's in present tense. It's so vivid in her mind. It is as if she was sitting there in 1905 writing Anne of Green Gables, even though she's actually sitting in 1938 writing Anne of Ingleside. So Anne of Green Gables, here it is. I have an idea for a story about an orphan. I see red hair. She's riding on a buggy with a sorrel mare. She's riding beside a man, an elderly man who strikes me as kind but quite perplexed. The girl is not what he had expected her to be. Okay, that's segment 1 of past thought. Here's segment 2. An elderly couple, an orphan asylum, an application for a boy to do the chores around the farm. By mistake, a girl is sent. She is the girl who rides in the buggy. He'll be Matthew, the man in the buggy. The girl will be the reason for the frown. Okay, then on to the third memory. Her name is Anne. Anne with an E. She's talking as Matthew drives. She is opening up a world. Every word that comes from her lips I can hear in her voice. Anne is as alive to me, excuse me, as I am to myself. I am her, and she is me. We are as close as any two souls could possibly be. We are writing her life together, Anne and I. Okay, on to the fourth segment of past thought in the mind of Ellen Montgomery. Why not write her as a novel? Anne is as real to me as me. She's alive here on the island. All the places and people I know, every situation, and every incident. She has an attitude to life that has always been stifled in me. She is bursting out of my bosom, and is all the stillborn mods I see in me. She's too good to waste in a story for a magazine. Okay, that was the fourth segment of memory, 1905 memory, while writing in 1938. Blocking out the chapters. Incident, characters, ending, challenge, action, response, situation 1, situation 2, situation 3, writing furiously in my notebook, sitting and brooding and writing again. I can put Anne in any incident, any challenge, or any concern. I know exactly what she will say and what she will do. Lover's Lane, Shining Waters, every blossom on every tree. Anne is me, coming alive as another me. Okay, on to segment 6, section 6, segment 6 of memory. One last read from first to last before I send my Anne away. One more visit before I send her out into the world. Closing my eyes after I read the final page. As soul-mated as author and character could possibly be. A publisher. Looking over my shelf of books. L.C. Page, 200 Summer Street, Boston, USA. What will he think when he reads these words? I wrap the package and tie the string and lick the stamps. I put my Anne on the counter, hidden carefully amid the outgoing mail. And then seventh segment of memory of 1905. Sorting out the mail. A letter from L.C. Page, the Boston publisher. Is there more of Anne in my pen? Of course I shall write about my Anne. She is me. In my better moment, she's me at the height of my reach. She is the better self who keeps the true flame of my soul. And then the final segment of memory of 1905 in chapter 1 of thought. A contract for Anne of Green Gables, an invitation to write a whole series of Anne novels. I can't believe that this has happened. I'm just a girl from the island. Now my Anne will have a full life. She will live between the covers of a series of books. I had feared that she would be confined on a shelf, in a hat box. I can hardly wait to tell the good news to Anne. Okay, that's chapter 1. It's the 1905 series of memories. I think of the human mind as a problem-solving instrument. I do not suggest that it's a perfect instrument. The human mind does not solve all problems. You only need to look around at the life of the planet on which we're living, or the life of our own and other societies in which we're living, or even at our own personal lives, to realize that the human mind as a problem-solving instrument is not perfect. However, I would suggest that though the failure of human thinking can be tragic, the success of human thinking can be inspirational. And even the attempt at problem solving by human thinking is always admirable. It strikes me as well that one of the major methods by which the human being attempts to problem solve is to think of more than one topic at the same time, to think of more than one topic simultaneously, and to compare and contrast the elements of those topics in order to try to figure out what it is best to do next. and what it is best to avoid doing next, or at least try to avoid doing next. So I found that the best way to imitate the workings of the human mind in a novel in ink, on paper, is to write the thoughts of the main characters in layers. So what I have read in this presentation is strictly the past as a layer of thought in the mind of the main character. The mind of the main character assumes that if she examines a past experience in great detail, she will learn something that will help her in her present situation and in her future situations. So the mind, in a sense, is double thinking. 2 dashes here, but I'll number them 1. The mind is thinking of the present in order to get through the day, and hopefully as a means of creating something worthwhile. So we want to survive the day, but we also want to enhance the day by doing something worthwhile. Okay, and number 2, in doing so, the mind is thinking of the past, of memories of an action or a situation which, although it cannot possibly be exactly the same as the present action or situation, might just have enough parallels and contrast to be of use in figuring out the desirable and less desirable choices in the present situation. Now, in this video presentation, I read only the past layer of thought of Chapter 1 of 16 chapters of thought in the mind of the main character, Ellen Montgomery. In a third video presentation, I intend to read Chapter 1, what I call the outer frame of Chapter 1, the action-thought of the chapter, as it is printed in the novel, with layers of present moment thought interlayered with past moment thought in an attempt to replicate in ink and paper how the human mind actually works. Now, both past and present will be thought of by the main character in the present tense. The reason that both the past and the present are in present tense is that all of the thinking in Chapter 1, in fact, in all 16 chapters of the novel, is being done in the present of the story. So all thought is present moment. All of the thoughts which this novel contains, all of the thoughts which the mind of the main character contains, through all 16 chapters and 50,000 words of thought, are all happening at the same present moment simultaneously in the mind of the main character. So present moment only. Once again, then, this is my novel, L.M. Montgomery, I Gave You Life, a novel by John Passfield. It's found on Amazon, where you can find more information. It's found at my publisher's website, rocksmillspress.com, rocksmillspress.com, where there's more information. At my website, johnpassfield.ca, johnpassfield.ca. There's 2 free books, a planning notebook and a journal of reflection. So have a look at those if you're interested in any of the topics which I cover in these videos, or any of the topics that literature tends to deal with, or any of the topics that life experience itself tends to force us to deal with, even if we don't want to. Anyway, have a look if you're interested. Lastly, I'll say thank you for watching this video.